Let's look at exercise 3. Jorge now plans to mix red and blue paint to create purple paint. The color of purple paint he has decided to make combines red paint and blue paint in the ratio of 4:1. If Jorge can only purchase paint in 1-gallon containers, construct a ratio table for all possible combinations for red and blue paint that will give Jorge no more than 25 gallons of purple paint. If I look at this information right here, it tells us that he's mixing for 4 gallons of red for every 1 gallon of blue. So if he mixes 4 red and 1 blue, he's going to make 5 gallons of paint. Let's use that information to create some combinations on this ratio table below. But first, let's make sure we pay close attention because they give us the blue first and the red second. And that's opposite of what they gave us in the word problem. So if I want to know how much blue and red he can find, I can first say, well, what if he has 1 blue? He needs to mix 4 red with it. If he has 2 blue, he's going to have to mix 8 red with it. Give him the same color of purple, but just more of it. 3 blue, he's going to have to mix 12 red. 4 blue, he's going to have to mix 16 red. Now if we add those up, that's 20 total gallons. If he mixes 5 blue, he's going to have to put 20 red with it. And if you add that together, there's the 25 gallons. So that's the maximum that he can have right there. Now let's look at the relationship. We figured out how much red paint we would need by taking how much blue, and in this case multiplying it by 4. Once again, how much red paint he would need by taking how much blue and multiplying it by 4. Again, we're getting a pattern here. We can figure out how much red paint he needs to mix with it by taking how much blue paint he has and multiplying it by 4. That ratio of 4:1, by the way, if we think back to previous lessons, it means that he's mixing 4 times more red than blue. 4:1. For every 4, there's 1 of the other. Okay? Now, let's write an equation that will let Jorge calculate the amount of red paint he will need for any given amount of blue. Let's use R to represent any amount of red paint he's going to need. Think about what we did to figure that out before. We multiplied the amount of blue times 4. So we could say R equals 4 times B. The red paint we need is going to be found by taking 4 times the blue. Let's go to the next page. It says write an equation that will let Jorge calculate the amount of blue paint he will need for any given amount of red paint. So this time we want to know blue. Let's let B represent how much blue paint he would need. If he's given the amount of red, what do we have to do? We have to take the red paint and divide it by 4. And that will tell us how much blue paint he would need to mix with it. Notice in the first equation, we're finding red given the blue, finding the red given the blue. In the second equation, we're finding the blue given the amount of red. Now, if Jorge has 24 gallons of red, how much blue will he have to use to create the desired color of purple? Now that we have equations, we could substitute that 24 and figure out how much blue. We want to know how much blue. I want to use this equation. B equals R divided by 4. That tells me how much blue we need. We're given 24 gallons of red, so I'm going to do something called substitution. I'm going to substitute 24 for R. Then I'm going to divide that by 4. 24 divided by 4 is 6. That means Jorge will have to mix 6 gallons of blue. He has to mix 6 gallons of blue with 24 gallons of red. One more question here. If Jorge has 24 gallons of blue, how much red will he have to use to create the desired color of purple? This time I'm going to use this equation that we came up with, because this told us how much red we would need given the amount of blue. Notice we're given blue here in this problem. I'm going to substitute the 24 in for the B this time. When I take 4 times 24, I get 96. That tells me Jorge will need to mix 96 gallons of red with this 24 gallons of blue. Now, I would like you to continue finishing that particular exercise. In the exercises that follow, you can check yourself by using the key that's provided with you on Google Classroom.